G'day guys, and welcome to this business management lesson. In today's lesson, we're looking at key knowledge point 334. That is Unit 3, Area of Study 3, and the fourth key knowledge point for this area of study. Today specifically, we're looking at strategies to improve both the efficiency and effectiveness of operations related to technological developments. Helpfully, this key knowledge point gives us a list of some different technological developments that we need to talk about, so let's do that. I'll remind you at the beginning of this lesson that every operation system includes inputs, processes, and outputs. These are the key elements of any operation system. The inputs are the resources, materials, labor that you need to be able to deliver the core function of your business. The outputs are what you sell to your customers, and the processes are whatever strategies, whatever systems are in place to convert those inputs into those outputs. Now, this key knowledge point is one of a few from this area of study that specifically deals with the concepts of efficiency and effectiveness. So it's really important that you understand that terminology. Efficiency relates to the way in which a business uses its resources, its inputs. A business that uses the fewest inputs to create its outputs is going to be said to be more efficient than a business that needs to use a lot of inputs to produce the same number of outputs. If your processes aren't very efficient, perhaps there's a high number of defects, you're making a lot of mistakes and have to throw inputs out. Maybe your business operates very slowly and some things expire on the shelves. If milk is one of your inputs, say in a bakery situation, if you're not using it very quickly, it's possible that it will go past its use-by date and you have to throw it in the bin and buy more milk. That wouldn't be terribly efficient. The most efficient operation system is one that can produce the required number of outputs using the bare minimum number of inputs. Effectiveness is quite different. Effectiveness isn't specifically to do with the use of inputs, rather it is a measure of the degree to which a business or an operation system can achieve its stated objectives. For an operation system, it's quite possible that one objective might be to be more efficient, in which case an operation system that is efficient could be said to be both efficient and effective. But of course, we've spent a lot of time talking about business objectives in previous areas of study, so you know that making a profit and increasing market share are considerations for business managers, and the degree to which operations management can contribute to the achievement of those objectives will be viewed as the effectiveness of that operations system. Now, at any stage, at any time, every business manager is going to look for a way that they could perhaps improve the efficiency or effectiveness of their operations system. And technological developments, as they come along, often introduce us to opportunities to do just that. The specific technological developments that are listed in the study design that we need to talk about include automated production lines, robotics, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and online services. Now, production lines are the core of many manufacturing businesses. Back in the day, in a more historical business concept, production lines were managed entirely with human labor. And you can see from this image on your screen that these workers are polishing bottles, then applying a front label, applying a label over the cap as these bottles move down the production line, this treadmill style system. And certainly as technology has developed, we've been able to create machines and robotics that can do these functions without the need for human labor. Automated production lines are where equipment and machines are arranged sequentially to perform typically repetitive tasks that would have been done in the past by human labor. Employees that would be involved in an automated production operations environment might still be involved in things like maintenance or supplying the automated production line with materials and resources at the beginning of the automated production line and taking away the outputs at the end of the production line. But certainly an automated production line is just that. It's one where the human labor has been replaced by machinations and robotics and computer systems to replace human labor. Some of the advantages of an automated production line over a more labor-dependent production line include improved accuracy and efficiency. Humans are prone to mistakes. While we're very creative and we're very capable in a number of areas, the concept of capable in a number of areas, the concept of human error is one that we're all familiar with. If your attention wanders, you can make all sorts of silly mistakes, from simple things like spelling mistakes to, in disastrous and dire consequences, losing concentration on the road and getting in a car accident, or clicking the 0 on your keyboard too many times and putting your Fortune 500 company into dire straits by transferring too much money in a financial transfer. Humans do make mistakes. Robots don't make mistakes unless those mistakes are programmed into the robot. So an automated production line can be expected to make fewer mistakes and to perform the same task identically every time it does it. This will also, by and large, improve safety in your production line. If employees aren't involved with machinery, if they're not using tools, they can't get hurt. And the fewer employees you have working with glass or hot materials or gases or involved in an industrial environment, the fewer injuries there are going to be. Now, robotics, by and large, have come a long way within our lifetimes. In the early 2000s, robotics were best suited to very simple, repetitive tasks, but institutions like Boston Dynamics have taken robotics to the bounds of what a few short years ago would have been considered science fiction. Robotics typically refer to the use of automation outside of manufacturing, where automated production lines are very common these days, and automated production has been a staple of manufacturing for a couple of decades now. Robotics are still emerging, and the limits of robotics aren't yet realized. The film Big Hero 6, a personal favorite of mine, represents this fictional world in which Baymax, a first aid and therapy companion robot, exists and works to help people. But in the real world, robotics are basically almost this good. Certainly the Boston Dynamics robots, if we go back a second, their dog robot is being rolled out to police forces and sort of emergency rescue crews around the world. They're very capable of navigating complex terrain and looking for survivors after events like earthquakes, when it might be dangerous to send human rescuers into a partially collapsed building. Robots like these are very capable of doing that role. Certainly, robotics are still, just as they were in the past, still most easily implemented in business scenarios where they can replace humans for simple and very repetitive tasks. But as artificial intelligence improves, and as robotic technologies improve themselves, the complexity of the tasks robots can be charged with are increasing every day, and we'll have to keep an eye on that space to see just how this is implemented in business in the 2020s and 2030s. Now, design is something that every manufacturing business needs to do. And even every service business is likely to have a logo and perhaps a website. The process of design is something that is as old as business itself, where once design was all done by hand with pen and paper. These days, technologies exist that can speed up that process. Certainly on your screen right now, you can see a comparison between the ways that women's formal wear would have been developed once and the ways, or perhaps one way that it's developed these days, from the ability to make quick adjustments on the fly to the ability to... Where's my head gone? The ability to stress test the structure of a garment in real time in software without having to make mock-ups. Just the use of that kind of technology alone is going to save huge amounts of time and resources, where once you might have had to build a mock-up and prototype your physical product from the 2D designs that were drawn on paper. The more sophisticated technology gets, the less likely that that is going to be part of your production process. And you might be able to fully test the aerodynamics of your product, or the mechanical soundness of your product, or the density and mass of your product without actually having to build a prototype. Certainly, this is going to reduce production costs significantly for any business that utilizes design as part of their process. And sort of hand in hand with computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing is not dissimilar to automation and robotics, but it's the use of software-controlled hardware to assist humans in manufacturing, where automation and robotics refer to the replacement of human labor, using a smart drink fountain that is able to inject cups with exactly the right amount of beverage is going to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of the employee whose job would be to fill cups with a beverage. Certainly, they don't have to measure that themselves. They can just operate the cups, and this machine can take care of the other part of that equation. Now, artificial intelligence is much like robotics, getting better every day. I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with ChatGPT and the way that it's revolutionizing our approach to crafting written products, from writing speeches to newsletter articles to essays, to giving you ideas of events that you could arrange for a child's birthday party. There doesn't seem to be any limit to these language models, and certainly emerging graphic engines like DALL-E or Midjourney that can create amazing graphic art from just a verbal prompt are very impressive. But you might not realize that you've been working alongside AI for a number of years now. You might have heard about social media algorithms, or the algorithm, as you scroll YouTube or TikTok. Content creators like to talk about the algorithm that identifies what you might be interested in based on your viewing history and what you've liked or responded to in the past, and you'll be fed more content along those lines. And certainly Netflix and Amazon will use your past browsing history to recommend things that are similar to the sorts of products you've bought on Amazon or the sorts of movies and TV shows you've watched on Netflix. And these are intelligent software algorithms that would constitute artificial intelligence. Certainly, if you've ever used Siri or Alexa or said, okay, and the name of a popular search engine, I'm not going to say it right now, otherwise my phone's going to light up. The fact that your device can recognize your speech patterns and understand what you're saying is evidence of a very clever AI system there. And certainly, while it's drawn ire and criticism in recent press, Tesla have been working on automated driving, self-driving vehicles for a while now, and the ability of a series of cameras to identify and detect and respond to a changing environment in real time is once again evidence of AI in use. What will AI do for business in the near future? It's impossible to say, but keeping an eye on that space is important for any business manager, because as it gets cleverer, as AIs get more sophisticated, they'll be able to do things like power more intelligent and capable robots, improve the efficiency and effectiveness of business in all manner of ways. Certainly, where AIs can start to come to understand your business needs, they might be able to recommend to you strategies that you could implement in your business to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your operations. It might be that simple. Certainly, online services are more and more popular as more and more households become plugged into 24/7 internet access. The rise of the smartphone was a huge revolution in the business world, as basically it represented a shift from people having the internet on their computers at home and maybe at work to carrying the internet with them wherever they went. If you've got a phone, odds are pretty good that you've got internet access wherever you are. And this has changed the way that business operates. Certainly some businesses operate wholly dependent on that internet access. Businesses like Netflix and Spotify exist wholly in a digital space. Netflix didn't start out that way. They started as a mail order or like phone up DVD rental company. You'd call them up and you'd ask for a movie and they'd send it to you in the post, and then when you're done with it, you'd send it back. The internet changed their business. Certainly Spotify, Apple Music, these are businesses or operation systems that exist wholly dependent on an internet access. And then there are retailers who operate wholly in a digital space. eBay, Amazon are evidence of those. And other organizations like Dropbox or Google Drive make money by selling cloud storage space. Many businesses are bound by legislation to keep records of customers and to keep them safe. And certainly Dropbox and Google Drive both market their cloud storage systems as being very secure. And so that might be a solution for many businesses to improve the effectiveness of their customer data retention by putting that in the safe databases of a large internet business that spends a lot of time and research and development securing their servers, rather than just keeping it in a filing cabinet in one of your back rooms. Other technologies that have impacted business over time certainly include databases, not necessarily cloud storage, but databases for storing customer details and purchase histories. Certainly payment systems, digital payment systems, starting with something as simple as FPOS and being able to use a card rather than cash, all the way through to more modern developments like Afterpay. And certainly just the advent of social media is something that operations systems can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of operations systems, where social media can be used to gauge customer interest in a product line before it goes into production, to inform the business of how much they should produce and get an idea generally of what they can expect the demand in the market to be, so that the business can avoid over or under supplying that demand. Now, it's common for this key knowledge point particularly to be assessed using a discuss keyword or an evaluate keyword that might ask you to identify or elaborate on the advantages and disadvantages of some of these tech strategies. The key to that is they're all pretty common, or they all have pretty common advantages and disadvantages. For example, any type of technology is going to be more consistent and or more reliable than human labor. Where we talked about human error, that's not present if a human's not present. So automation and robotics and artificial intelligence can be expected to produce less wastage and make fewer mistakes because they're not prone to human error. Certainly, they're going to be more reliable, as these systems don't need to sleep. They don't need to eat. They don't need to take breaks. They don't get sick. They don't take holidays. An automated production line, assuming the hardware is capable, can run 24/7, 365 days a year, whereas a human can't. A human's going to have to go home at the end of the day. They're going to have meal breaks. We need to eat or we die. So theoretically, all technology is going to be more reliable or more capable of just enduring long periods of work than a human. Certainly, robotics, AI, automation is capable of things that humans are typically not capable of in many ways. From working non-stop to lifting heavier things or working in more dangerous conditions than humans. The capability of AI to work on problems without ever getting bored. The idea that an automated system is never going to complain about not having career advancement opportunities means that these technology solutions can solve problems that otherwise might have been quite expensive with regards to the human cost. And certainly, that's our final advantage for most of these forms of technology. Robots don't need to earn a wage. And for most businesses, wages are their most significant expense. So if you can implement technology in your operations system to replace human labor, you can reduce the number of wages you need to pay, and that can be a huge cost saving for operations. Certainly where operations contributes or is contributing to the business objective to make a profit, you could say that these wage savings demonstrate a huge increase in the effectiveness of this operation system, as it's now contributing significantly to the achievement of that objective. Of course, there are disadvantages. If a robot goes wrong, it can go very wrong. If an employee gets sick, they might need a couple of days off, maybe a week, maybe a little bit longer, but they're expected to get better and come back to work. If your automation system breaks down, if your robots go wrong and stop working, it might be that you need to spend significant investment. You might need very highly skilled and capable engineers to come and work on this problem and to fix it. If in a more traditional production line, an employee gets sick, you can probably replace them with someone. In an automated production line, if one part of that production line goes down, the whole system is going to grind to a halt. So that can be a bit of a risk. Certainly, the more complex your operation system is, the more risk is involved in removing humans who are usually quite replaceable with hardware that if it breaks, can break significantly. And certainly one of the great limitations or the great disadvantages of technology is there is not yet a single technological solution that is more capable than a human. Machines might be able to stick labels on bottles faster, but can they turn around and mop up a spill if one of the bottles falls over? Can they go out and organize a social gathering to build your sense of collegiality and to help your employees bond and form meaningful relationships? Can any single artificial intelligence, while it might be able to send out marketing emails or write the copy for your marketing emails, it's probably not then also going to be able to solve your operations problems where heavy things need to be moved around. Technology is not yet at a point where it can completely replace human ingenuity. One human will do so many more diverse things in a day than any one technology solution could ever be capable of. Well, not ever, but one technology solution at the moment is capable of replicating. That right now, a human, a highly skilled and capable human, is probably going to be a more useful asset to your business than a technological solution. And of course, the common disadvantage for all of these tech solutions is typically there are very high setup costs and there can be ongoing maintenance costs, which certainly the high setup costs are going to, by far and in a big way, outcost any wages for the same period. But maintenance costs in the future might be cheaper. You still might be saving money with regards to maintenance costs over time. But those high setup costs, that high expense is often a disadvantage that is a real barrier to entry for some businesses looking to invest in automation. And of course, in a less operations consideration, tying this back a bit more to Area of Study 2, Human Resources Management, if you're implementing automation to replace human labor, well, the understanding there is that you had human labor and you're no longer needing any of these humans involved in human labor. And if you're conducting large-scale redundancies and getting rid of all of that human labor, that means a couple of things. One, you've got to have the financial resources to be able to pay the high setup costs for your technology and pay out any entitlements that these employees are going to be due because you're making them redundant. And certainly that kind of loss of employment, that kind of threat to job security can have a flow-on effect for other employees in your business, can damage their engagement and motivation, damage their sense of job security, activate their drive to defend perhaps. Regardless, that can be one disadvantage of using automation in your business. So in summary for this key knowledge point, efficiency is to do with the best use of resources, using the fewest resources to produce the most outputs. Effectiveness is the degree to which your business is able to achieve its objectives. These will both increase as businesses take advantage of developing technologies to operate in a less wasteful way, to operate more swiftly and more accurately. But it's worth remembering that while technology creates opportunities to decrease costs, minimize production errors, and increase productivity, it also decreases employment opportunities that you can offer, and it will decrease the flexibility or adaptability of your operations. Because as we've said, at the moment, there aren't technological solutions that can replace human ingenuity. That might change, and if it does change in the next couple of months, be sure that I will update this video. That's all for today. See you next time.